Hello, 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 hello. This is Nicholas Tanek from YourKinkyFriends.com. I have two wonderful guests tonight. Originally, we were only going to have one, but now we got two in the same, and they work together. We're going to talk photography. We're going to talk boudoir photography. We're going to talk event photography. We're going to talk about the LGBTQ community. We're going to talk a lot. We're going to talk about studios, and we're going to talk about Brooklyn, New York. Ladies and gentlemen from Anancy Studios, please welcome Michelle Wild and also
Hello.
and Hardy Brooklyn. Say hi. Tell us about yourself.
Hey,
My name is Michelle Wild. I am a boudoir photographer. That's what I specialize in. I'm also an activist for the LGBT community, and I host fetish events. And I'm kinky.
Oh, great. Let's get into that. Okay. What about you, Hardy?
I am a Brooklyn performance artist that loves to push people's boundaries and allow people to experience things in life that they normally wouldn't and enjoy it along the way. And I also host fetish events and all kinds of live art events.
Okay, so let's get into the fetish first. We'll get into the photography. We'll get into the performance art. We'll get into
Okay.
the events, the fetish events. That's definitely something. But I'm always curious of how kinky people or just sexually expressive people come out for the first time. What was your first time, like being proud to be kinky or just sexually expressive?
You're talking to me, Michelle?
Both of you.
Okay. I don't think I ever came out. I think I was always out.
Ah,
I was a very sexually pretty promiscuous person, even at a really super young age. I grew up in a really conservative household, so it was kind of difficult to express myself without being reprimanded. So when I got 18, I moved out. I was able to really explore everything I wanted to do. So I was never really out like that. I've always, everybody that knows me knows what I'm like. My family members know what I'm like. I don't hide it. I don't have a vanilla life and a kinky life. It's one in the same for me.
okay. What about you, Hardy?
I'd say probably the same. I mean, I've lived my life the same way throughout it. I don't really change my behavior when I'm at events or going to events or living or getting painted somewhere naked. I mean, I am me and I've always been me and everybody knows who I am and knows what to expect. That sometimes I'll have clothes, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll be dressed like a female, sometimes I won't. It's just part of life.
All right, great. Okay, so now when it comes to kink, like you said, you host fetish events and stuff like that. I mean, kink is vast. It's variety. Do you what are your like main kinks?
My main kinks,
Yeah, both of you.
dominating men, basically. If you want to get into details of the things I like to do,
Yeah.
I'm a sadist for
Ah,
sure. I like to peg guys. I like guys serving me. Um, that's one aspect of my kinky fetish life. Um, and I like different kinds of sensations on myself, but mostly dominating men and women too.
interesting. Before we get to Hardy, I want to stop at this sadism thing because I talked to a lot of sadists. Actually, one of them, the diabolical sadist, had me kneel on rice during the interview.
Oh, ow.
So I always ask this as soon as I find out someone's a sadist. What do you think is one? It doesn't have to be but one of the most sadistic things you've ever done.
Not let the slave see me.
Ooh, yeah. That mentally, that's you mean physically or just not like you can come over.
I think at a certain point in I think everyone's fetish kinky, journey, you realize that the toys are irrelevant to the psychological aspect of it, and allowing your slave not to see you is like the meanest thing you could do.
Yeah, makes me wonder too. It's like what? She doesn't like
Yeah,
me.
or worthy and whatever they're doing is not, sufficient enough.
Okay, what about you, Hardy? What are some of your personal kinks and preferences?
I like sensations. I like to play with things like I like electricity a little lot. I like fire. I like the sensations. I also really like having people gain pleasure from experiencing new things or being permitted to experience something in a way that they like.
All right, wonderful. Okay. So let's talk about photography. All right. You first of all, the event photography. It's basically you capture events, correct? And they're primarily in the LBGTQ community. So tell us about these events and what you do.
All right, so I'm gonna start from the beginning of my photography career. I actually was a totally change of career for me at in my 30s, and I went back to school to be a photographer. And I really wanted to shoot porn initially. And in New York, that's kind of difficult. There's not many porn companies. But one of the people I emailed all these swinger events, and one swinger uh, party actually said yes to let me photograph. And it wasn't just swingers; it was BDSM. So for 5 years, I photographed an event every single week. People that, all the way from people that do this just on the weekend to all the way people that had slaves and stuff. So I got an outside perspective of all that. And once I started shooting that, I started shooting more boudoir stuff, which is girls in lingerie,
Mm.
shooting escorts, and then I started shooting regular girls.
Oh, great. Okay.
And now, let me finish because you said LGBT. So, one of the things I've had a lot of life changes this year. And one of the things I really want to do, which is really important to me, is to give back in some way. And so I started donating my time to LGBT events, fundraisers to shoot their events so they can have pictures, to disseminate and get more money and stuff like that.
Okay. Now, I am very much for LGBTQ rights, especially with what's going on politically these days. It's very worrisome. So, for people who, what are some things that people can do to support the LGBTQ community? Maybe some things that are not so obvious.
I think going to events, I think treating people, LGBT people, with respect, first and foremost, and not treating them differently. Um, and I think just, I mean, we're in New York City. It's a whole different world here,
Yeah.
you know. Um, I think going to events and supporting them at events and giving money for whatever causes it is. And if you are an activist, getting out there and actually protesting, and speaking up at your company and asking why aren't there more LGBT people in our company. But I think the basic first thing is just treating a person with fucking common decency and respect.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know if we were allowed to curse or not.
No, you can curse. You can curse. Um,
Okay.
because I used to be in the staffing industry, and so many LGBT people didn't like the clients didn't pick them, and they wouldn't say it, but you just knew that they didn't pick it because of that. Pick the person because of that. Oh, it's sad. Okay.
And there's no difference. And from putting on events, there are people that come up to me and say, "Hey, I'd like a more heterosexual event," but that actually changes the event. So if you have an event that has an all-exclusive event, in my opinion, that's a more fun event. It's going to be a more colorful event. It's going to be a more mixed event. You're going to get exposure to so many different perspectives and so many more things instead of your own little bubble. Why do I want to keep myself insulated in my bubble? Why not be exposed to what life has to offer?
I have the exact same philosophy. I mean, I love diversity, whether it's sexual diversity or racial diversity. I like to learn about different cultures. Like even with just like cultural diversity, just the food itself is amazing. Finding, finding new like yeah, is great. Okay, let's talk about boudoir photography. My Tangle Blue, who is oh my god, I love her so much. She just had some boudoir shots taken. I don't know if it was the first time she had, but they were very very beautiful. So, what? How do you go about to make the people comfortable?
I mean, I wish I could tell you, but it's just me and my personality.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have a gift for making people feel comfortable. I'm also a big advocate that everybody is sexy and everybody's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just because you don't think they are doesn't mean they aren't to somebody else. And bringing that out to somebody, bringing it out in a photo shoot is what I do. Like when I'm shooting, I'm super excited And people are beautiful. I mean, I look at them through the camera and they look amazing. And I tell them that, and I just have this gift for empowering people.
Now, you were saying that you do a lot of women in lingerie. I've seen other boudoir shots of, gay men or transvestites or sissies and stuff like that. Is it a majority of yours just women in lingerie, or
yes. The majority of women, believe it or not, are girls from Long Island who are relatively young. And I took like a demographic. I shoot mostly nurses. Go figure. Which is kind of ironic. I don't know why. And school teachers. So I've shot gay males. I've shot everything, but that's mostly my business wise. Personally, I shoot, other stuff, other kinds of people.
Okay. What advice would you give to somebody who's interested in having a boudoir shop but has never done anything like that at all?
That's good advice. To be prepared there's a lot of details that women have to prepare for, and just to relax and practice in front of the mirror and wear outfits that you feel comfortable in. Sexy is not what you wear. You don't have to have a bra and panty to be sexy. That's not even remotely. I've had a girl came in, she was super late. She just woke up. She literally had her pajamas on and her hair in a ponytail and no makeup on, and she looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because sexy is something that comes within. So I think, preparing yourself, you find outfits that you're comfortable in and that you can really express yourself. And to get hair and makeup too, because I think that kind of adds to the whole dimension of feeling glamorous.
And it does, to get your hair done professionally and your makeup, not even really, just having somebody else do it a lot of times, it does make the pictures come out a lot better, and it makes you come across a lot better.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, for what advice would you give to some upcoming photographers who want to start, taking boudoir shots, but never has done before?
Did you say naked?
No, start doing,
it's not easy to do boudoir. It took me a few years to actually learn how to do it, because you have to, I'm not working with professional models, so you have to pose them the whole entire way. And you just have to look at every little detail to make sure that everything is just right. And you see all the curves and you don't see things that you don't want to see. So I say a lot of practice and building a portfolio. Just like any other photographer, you need to hone your craft. And a lot of how I learned how to do a lot of the posing and doing the pictures and lighting was going online and looking at pictures and then recreating it in my studio.
Interesting.
And be open with your guests. Don't be creepy. I mean, I go online and I look at Craigslist, or I look at Model Mayhem, or the different casting sites for people that are looking to practice. And then when you look at their profile, or you look at their space, it doesn't look as something that's conducive for somebody that they're going to want to shoot to come in and get naked in front of. So you've got to create that comfortable atmosphere, like Michelle creates with her studio space.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder for guys. I mean, there's a lot of bad rap about a lot of shitty things guys done, really professional ones, and ones that aren't so professional. But you don't want to ever do anything sexually inappropriate. If I ever have to touch my client, I excuse myself, like I have to just touch you, and it's like it's not something you should be doing. You have to keep a sort of a distance, a professional distance.
Definitely. I know a lot of fetish models, and this one is she's very dainty, she's very small, but like she's like into brutal like torture porn type stuff, right? And she gets bombarded with photographers, male photographers, and they're like, "I'm looking to practice," and just like the way they come across, she could spot them like that.
Yeah.
You get used to it.
Yeah. Okay. I saw a documentary recently that you might like, since you are New Yorkers. You are both New Yorkers, and you both are into photography. Have you heard about the Vivian Maier documentary?
Who?
Vivian Maier.
I don't know who she is.
Maier. She. This is fascinating. There's a documentary about her. She was an old woman who kept the room closed. She was not social at all. And after she died, people went through her stuff, and her room was just filled with film. And
Wow.
they developed the pictures, and they're these amazing pictures of all over New York City. Check them out. Vivian
Okay.
Mayer, Maier. You'll
Okay.
definitely
I
appreciate
saw
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll definitely appreciate
Okay.
it. All right, so let's talk about your studio. Tell us about it.
It's located in Chelsea on 29th Street. It's pretty unique is that I have about 6 windows that face south and I don't have a building across the street. So I'm lucky in the fact that I have a lot of sunlight and it's just a really pretty amazing space. It's not that big. It's only 1,000 square feet. But like I said, I have a lot of sunlight. And I've had it for about 7 years now.
Okay. How did you start it? Like, did you just
I borrowed money.
that counts? Yeah. Yeah. Do you have different kind of rooms or scenes?
No, it's just one big loft space. But I have other clients that rent from me. I have a woman that rents me that specializes in children's portraits, headshots for like actors and stuff, like little 2 and 4 year olds. And then I have another guy that's not a professional photographer. He just shoots, models. And then I'm lucky enough to actually have Robert Mapplethorpe's brother rent from me too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You know who Robert Mapplethorpe was, right?
I'm not very, very familiar with, but I have
Okay. He was
my
Jesse Helms fought to stop funding for art because of Robert Mapplethorpe because he considered his art pornography.
oh
But
wow.
it's black and white and it's gay, gorgeous males, nude. And yeah, so back in the 80s.
Okay, what have been some hurdles or problems that you've had running the studio?
Uh, uh, I mean, just dealing with people in general could be, and the people dealing with people, uh, and their little issues, whatever. With I don't know, I'm trying to think.
The floor's too cold. The air's too warm.
The bathroom key is missing. I mean, just crazy stuff. Um, people not leaving the space clean when after they leave, people doing inappropriate stuff in my space when they didn't tell me they were going to do that. I'm just all kinds of crazy. And people, they think because they're renting the space, while it is theirs for that amount of time, it's still not your space.
Yes.
So a lot of people, as you know, don't respect other people's stuff. Not even a little bit.
Okay. What would you say is a photographer's enemy?
A photographer's enemy. Hmm.
It could be.
I don't think I have any enemies like that. I mean, one of the things that you struggle with is that you could have a client and they could be yours for years and then they decide to go to another photographer. That could be your enemy if you let that get to you.
I think for photographers, themselves are usually their enemies. Their preconceived notions, everything that they're bringing to the table prevents them. Like I know a lot of people that are amazing photographers that are afraid to post the stuff, that are afraid to help them move forward, that are afraid to take that step off the bridge and get themselves out there. Or they're afraid to ask somebody to move to get the picture when most people will be gracefully to move.
Oh yeah. I'm the kind of guy who'll move in a second as long as because I love art and I love people, creative people. So I don't want to stand in the way of anyone's creativity. You know what I mean?
It's a photographer, it's just recently that's been considered an art form, quote unquote. So for a lot of people, it's just like any other art form. You're really putting yourself out there, and a lot of people can't handle the critique, of their work because they take it so personally, which you really shouldn't. I mean, it's that person's opinion. And the other thing is too about art, you want a reaction. I don't care if it's negative or positive, as long as you reacted to it, then that means it affected you in some way.
That's a good point. Definitely a good point.
And your instantaneous reaction is not always your takeaway reaction.
Definitely.
I mean, I get painted so much in the city and go around, and the reaction I get from the person doesn't equal the reaction of the follow-up comment I get from them on Instagram or on Facebook.
Okay, so wait, now talk about painting for a bit. So you paint your whole body.
I don't paint myself. Different artists paint me.
Okay, but isn't that do they have to? Is it true that they have to leave like a little patch unpainted because of you can get sick or you can get poisoned? That's
So
what I.
it's the same thing when you're fetish with latex. Depending on what you're wearing, you can't really, if you cover your whole body, you will kind of like suffocate. But the paint that I use is regular theatrical makeup, so it's fairly safe. You can keep it on for 3 or 4 days. It's the same like good quality makeup that women are putting on, but you do kind of want to be conscious when you're doing fetish events of what kind of paint and what kind of materials you're putting on yourself to make sure that you don't damage yourself.
Okay, what's your favorite color you like to be painted as?
Favorite color?
Yeah,
I'd say I look really good with like purples and blues.
purples and blues. Love purple and blue. Nice. Okay, let's get back to the photography. Digital or film?
Oh, digital.
Okay. Do you?
I learned on film. I developed films and all that. I mean, it's basically the same techniques. It's just a different method.
Yeah, and it's also cheaper. I mean, digital is cheaper. So what kind?
Yes and no. I mean, it's cheaper in some respects, but I still have to have an updated computer at least every 2 or 3 years, and it has to be a big, huge computer. I have to have my updated software constantly, and Photoshop used to be ridiculously expensive. I have to have camera equipment that's updated all the time. So it's not really necessarily cheaper. I mean, the process to get your pictures is a lot faster, which is good, but now I need some file program too also to upload the pictures to you, so I don't know if it's really cheaper, honestly.
The expense has been redirected to a back end kind of like non-consumable expense so people can easily stomach it. Where you used to pay for film, you got a camera and you would just turn the film over, and now you're paying for a lot of stuff to manage that film because the pictures that photographers like Michelle shoot are much larger than your average, even semi-pro camera that somebody's buying at home.
Okay, now what about like movies? There is a documentary. I forgot what it's called, but it's a whole documentary of the evolution of digital camera versus film and how film is dying. It takes you only get a certain amount of time on film to get the takes and stuff like that. When it comes to cinema, do you prefer digital or do you prefer film?
I don't do video at all, but I could tell you, there's a certain quality to film that digital doesn't have.
Like vinyl records versus CDs.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. There's a certain quality. I mean, it's the same song, but it just depends on you what you really like. But there's certain things that are shot by film that are just amazing, like Ansel Adams. I
Mm,
mean, you really can't recreate that with digital. It might look the same to somebody that doesn't have those kind of eyes, but
okay. Who are some of your favorite photographers?
oh my lord. Well, it's funny because I actually was a painter before I was a photographer, so I'm more into painting than I am into photography. Um, but I have to say definitely Robert Mapplethorpe. Um, Frances Woodward, I think her name was. She did a lot of stuff. She didn't have Photoshop. Everything was film, and her stuff is mind blowing. Um, uh, Peter, I forgot his last name. He's another one that did nothing photoshopped and created all these macabre kind of scenes. I like that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Okay. So, all right. You have multiple cameras, I'm sure, correct?
No, I have one camera.
Yeah. Camera do you have?
A Nikon.
Oh, Nikon.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, my father's a huge photography buff. He got me into it as well. Made me really appreciate it. He had his own dark room in the basement and everything like
Uh-huh.
that. And like he's the kind of guy at like we go you go to a wedding and then there's the wedding photographer. He's like right behind the getting better shots too. All right. Now, let's talk about these fetish events. What are some of these fetish events like?
Well, I used to host an event I did for 3 years, and it was a mix of genders, a mix of people's sexual preference. We allowed everything and anything. So you never know on a particular night what would actually happen. But we've had piercings, we've had fire, we've had wax, we had forced byplay, pegging. I mean, anything pretty much went. I've had medical parties where it's people get fake surgery done, and all kinds of other fun medical stuff. Um, there wasn't. It was sort of like a free for all that was kind of controlled.
Is this at the studio or are these other
This was
places?
my studio space, yes. So we're starting to host events again, starting February 9th, which is going to be the same sort of, feel to it, where people are allowed to really do whatever they want. I want them to feel like they're in a safe space where no one's going to judge them and nobody is going to discourage them from doing that. I mean, in the kink community, there's a lot of, excuse me, a lot of people that shame kink.
Oh, yeah.
It's not kink, so, it's like, it's fucked up and you can't do that. I mean, excuse me, personally, I don't like medical play. I don't want it done to me. I don't want to do it to anyone, but I love watching it.
Yeah, it is cool looking.
It's fascinating.
And it's also empowering to give people the ability to have that. When I watch the people come in, whether it's a goddess party or a tasting party, whatever party it is, people come in so wound up, so stressed, so tight. And when they leave, they look like a changed person.
Yeah.
They're all relaxed.
It's great.
A lot of that anxiety and stress and society's burdens have been taken away from them.
Yeah, I really honestly believe the healing powers of kink. I mean, you know my story, how that Lynn died and everything like that. And if it wasn't for the kink community, I would have fallen into drugs or just negative behavior or something like that. It's the kink community and the sexual expression and the comfortable aspect. Me being comfortable with myself, I feel, like I'm a better person. You know what I mean? And seeing other people go through that is such a beautiful thing. And that's something I really, really love. Okay, Hardy, let's talk about your performance art.
Oh.
Tell us about it.
So I basically work with artists to get created into some kind of artistic creature with body paint. And I go interact with society as the character they've created, Riaz.
What are some of the characters that they've created?
I've been painted as a cigar at a party.
Cigar, okay.
Did someone try to smoke you? Or?
No, that would have been interesting.
I'd be like, which end did they light?
I've been painted as a pickle.
Oh, okay.
I've been painted as a Modrion with blue, where I disappeared into the background.
Oh, wow. That's
right.
And I was just recently painted for Subway Creatures as the part of a G train where I sat on a seat in front of a map and I was painted into that seat.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
And I also do costuming at events where I go in costume as that character, whether it's a crazy creature from outer space or whether it's just this loving, sensual, colorfully dressed person.
Do you have a favorite, or out of all the characters that you have been, what one would you think is like really on the top of the list?
The one that I liked the best was when I was painted as nature, and I got to run around the city and pose in front of buildings that it was more of a political, emotional statement where nature needs your help, and I got to like hang out in front of Trump's building for a while. And like the cops backed me up, which was really good. The building didn't want me there, but NYPD did. Some other places around the city, and the fact that it changes people's expression. Because I walk by people a lot of times and they're like, "Oh, that's a naked guy with his balls hanging out," and then they see the art, and then I talk to them, or I'll walk up to somebody that says that, and then they'll take a selfie with me.
Now, that's one thing that makes me curious. Being naked but being painted is kind of like, is it illegal? Is it not? Because there are women who walk around with like these kind of painted outfits.
Well, you have to be topless in New York.
Pardon me?
You're allowed to be topless in New York.
Okay, but like, have had any legal like issues? Like basically being naked and painted totally in public.
So basically, in the city of New York, you can legally be naked if you're fully body painted. You have to be fully painted, and it has to be done for an art project or an art event or a public event. So when the cops do stop me, I typically tell them what I'm doing, and they take a selfie and go on their way. They're very voyeuristic. I mean, I was in Berlin at Checkpoint Charlie naked, completely naked, throwing up my hands and yelling freedom, everybody get naked. And I had to take a bunch of selfies. That was the consequence.
That's great. I'm so glad you're doing my show. So remember, if you want to be naked in New York, you got to be in an art project and be have your body fully painted.
Correct,
Right?
but that does not count for the subway system.
That doesn't count for the subway system?
Parks Department or the city, it's public city property.
Public city property. Okay. Oh, I've been hearing nightmare stories about the New York subway system these days. So, are you like have you always been in New York?
Who?
Both of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We're both from New York originally.
Brooklyn.
Long Island.
Long Island, Queens. What do you think about the whole Amazon thing?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't really affect me.
I mean, from a educated person's point of view, I don't think the government should be giving them that much because they're putting the people here because that's where the people want to be. They wouldn't be putting a very expensive facility in Long Island City if people didn't want to go there. They can go live in Virginia dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting their executives here. So,
Now,
I mean,
let's talk a little bit more about New York. I remember New York like during the 90s. I mean, I remember New York now too, but it has changed so much. Like just Times Square, it used to be like a filth pit. There were tons of theaters, and there was some crime and drugs and porn and stuff like that. And I remember when like the abandoned theaters had like was this huge art project, where they took the banners, the marquees, and they made like poetry and stuff like that. And now you go to Times Square and it's like the M&M store. And there's Elmos walking around.
Uh-huh.
How has both of you been in the kink community for a while? How would you say the New York kink scene or the kink community has changed over the years?
First of all, there's not any real clubs, kink clubs anymore. I mean, the first club I went to was the Vault, which was really underground, and Hellfire and Paddles. Paddles is still around. I think what really affected the fetish community and the kink community in New York is the internet, and not in a good way. It's come a platform for people to voice their opinion, and their opinion isn't necessarily not their opinion, but to bitch about certain stuff, to out certain people. Instead of building a community, it's kind of separated people. And in New York in general, I mean, some respects I don't like what's happened because it's become very commercialized and there's not many mom and pop businesses anymore. But it's still in a way like they cleaned up 42nd Street. The crime rate has gone down. There's not prostitutes on the corner when some kid wants to go see, to go to a show on a Sunday afternoon. So in some respects, it is a good thing. But in another respect, like I said, it's lost its mom and pop business. And it's become the land of very, very wealthy people or not wealthy people.
Yeah, that's true. I think, I forgot who made a joke. I think it was Trevor Noah. He was like, yeah, Amazon's going to Queens because they can't afford Manhattan.
I don't, do not be, people think Manhattan is like the most expensive. Actually, Brooklyn's more expensive than Manhattan. And Long Island City is actually really nice. Okay. Like really nice now.
Parts of it are more expensive than Manhattan.
Yeah, these condos, high rises are right on the water and they have a view of Manhattan.
Okay. Now let's talk about your personal relationships. First of all, are you a couple or are you just friends?
No, we're not a couple.
Okay. Are either of you currently in a relationship?
I am not, but Hardy is.
I am in a relationship.
Oh, interesting. You don't have to, of course, I don't need details or anything like that, but like, is there a certain kind of kink dynamic to it?
No.
Oh, really?
My partner is very vanilla.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. I'm always interested in how people meet. So how did you two meet?
How did we two meet?
Well,
I went to,
yeah.
I forgot.
We were at a Gemini and Scorpio mixer event for people that are in the alternative lifestyle life.
And he was the only interesting looking person there. So I talked to him.
That's how we met.
And Hardy, how did you meet your partner?
I was helping a friend with a divorce situation, and I randomly called somebody out of a phone book, and she came out and helped me.
Hold on, wait, back up there. You just like opened a phone book and just dialed it.
I opened the person's phone book who I was helping and called one of her friends to come out.
Oh, okay. You didn't like open up like the yellow pages.
No. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool movie.
All right, so we got two budget questions. So we're gonna do BDSM on a budget because you are into kink and BDSM, but photography. One of the things that I've noticed about photography is that good cameras are expensive, and good paper is expensive. And certainly, so
Printing is not expensive because you could just upload it to some printer online. Cameras could be very, very expensive, but my camera wasn't that expensive. The camera is irrelevant to your talent and your skills. You could have the cheapest camera and take the most amazing pictures. Guys are into this. Well, my camera's like this. Well, goody for you. I mean, if you look at my camera, it's really, really tiny. It's really, really small. It's not one of these big, huge cameras. I mean, like I said, and people say, oh, well, are you a Canon or a Nikon? I don't think that really makes a difference. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good camera. My camera came with 2 lenses. It's like 16 megabyte pictures. It was $700-800. It's a kit. Look for kits. Go online and look for companies that are selling kits that come with a camera bag, an SD card, a couple extra batteries, and a couple of lenses, and you can get a really good deal.
okay.
And a lot of the camera stores run a lot of good promo deals too.
Yeah, like we have an amazing store, B&H, that's like, I mean, their cameras are ridiculously inexpensive in comparison. They don't really mark it up like that. And most of the people that you can go in and you can talk to these people, the salespeople, there are professional photographers. They'll tell you what exactly what you need and what kind of lens that you need. And one of the things I do is you're allowed to, I think they give you a month so you can return the equipment. So you could test it out. If it doesn't work for you, then you could just return it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Segment is, and this is for both of you, BDSM on a budget. Now, I totally urge everybody to, if you have the money, support high-end BDSM equipment, toys, clothes, you name it. Like, and be safe. But not everybody has the money, and they still want to be. So, do you have any ideas? Any kind
The
of
dollar store.
what?
Dollar store.
Dollar store. Okay.
Yeah, you can get a wooden spoon. You can get a meat tenderizer thing. You can get a fork. You can get toothpicks.
You can play handcuffs.
I mean, you can get all kinds of things. You could take your leather belts off. You could kick somebody. I could do a whole scene with just my hands.
Awesome.
You don't need expensive toys. Again, that's kind of a guy thing. You don't need expensive toys.
That's definitely true. But even if you're doing fire, I mean, that's rubbing alcohol.
And you can make your own wands. I mean, I know somebody that makes their own wands. I mean, a lot of things I have are from the dollar store. I've had people, I mean, like, I gave my friend, it was a container of things that make bubbles. So they're like little plastic slappy things. Perfect toy for somebody.
All right.
I used pipe cleaners on people's backs.
Oh, yeah.
Blindfold them. They have no idea what you are touching them with. They think they're bleeding, because they feel this scratchy thing, and you show them, and they're like, "Oh wow, it's a pipe cleaner."
And that reminds me, Miss Melissa wrote who's my dom. She wrote a whole article just on talking dirty, on just for BDSM on a budget. Like you could literally just be kinky just by talking. You know?
Oh, I mean, you could be kinky just by, having the person on their knees the whole time. I mean, it's, kinky is like you said, it's a broad range of things.
And it depends on what the kink is.
Yeah, I mean, it does depend on what the kink is.
It could be keep your feet in the
Okay, rapid fire. They're not necessarily kink related. Okay, so your answers don't have to be kink related for these. Recommend a film.
What'd you say?
What?
Recommend a film.
Recommend film.
Oh my God, really?
I'm not a film guy.
I'm a big, huge film person. Citizen Kane.
Ah, some say it's the greatest film of all time.
Oh, it is. It is. And A Streetcar Named Desire.
You know, some people say that Roseblood was code for Hearst's wife's clitoris.
Interesting. I don't know. I have to think about that.
There's a film. I think it's called RKO 47 or something. Liev Schreiber's in it. Roy Schneider's in it too, and it's about the making of Citizen Kane. And that yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
And one of my favorite all-time films, Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
I actually saw it in the movie theater, digitally remastered. It was amazing.
Okay. Recommend a book.
A book. Oh my God. Really? Do you read?
I do read, but I read sci-fi like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Isaac Asimov.
I don't have. I don't know. I have to come back to that one.
He did Hitchhikers. Did you see the movie Hitchhikers, the recent one? I thought that was good. I thought it was well done. Fun.
I miss the old Commodore 64 game now.
Okay, recommend a song.
A song?
Ripple.
Oh, it's a song by the Talking Heads. I don't know what the name of it is. Aladdin Sane by David Bowie.
Oh, I miss David Bowie. So do I.
That boy changed my life.
He was amazing.
He totally changed my life. He's one of my heroes for sure.
He did a great version of Roxy Music's "If There Is Something." Did you ever hear that? Yeah, I don't know if you like Roxy Music. I love Roxy Music.
Oh, he did a cover of Roxy. I love Roxy Music too.
Yeah, he did it like a rocked out version. Like it's real fast. If There's Something, it's like kind of slow, but he boom, he made it like 4 minutes. You know, it's great.
Good movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth.
That's a good movie.
You ever see that?
Oh yeah. So, when I was a little kid, I play a game with my because I'm like one of these music heads, like who hang out at record stores and talk about like B-sides and stuff. And after Prince died and David Bowie died, we played this game called Impossible Covers. So it's like Prince can't cover David Bowie, David Bowie can't cover Prince, but what if they did cover each other? Like, so if Prince did Diamond Dogs or
okay.
That'd be cool.
Or what if David Bowie did this like really ethereal, spooky version of Nothing Compares to You? You know, because Prince wrote that.
He did. I can see that being really cool. Purple Rain. I can see David Bowie singing Purple Rain.
Or Kiss. Don't have to be beautiful. That'd be great. Okay, now we're gonna get to one of the final parts. This is the word association game, and don't be afraid to get silly. We have 2 rules. First rule is literally say the first thing that comes to your head, your first word or phrase that comes to your head. So if I say chastity, you may say lock. But let's say you're hungry, and if I say chastity, you could say pizza.
Okay.
There's no wrong. So Michelle goes first.
Okay.
And then Hardy's. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so it's Michelle. All right. Second rule, we don't kink shame. So if I say a kink that you're not into, that you really don't like, please don't make fun of it. Please don't go like, ew. Just like, not my thing. Okay? But then we have the jar.
Oh, what's in the jar?
Jar. Tangled.
I thought there was something else.
No, Tangled. sent me this jar. So most of the phrases and the words are going to be off the top of my head, and they're going to be kink related. But then I go into the jar. Tangled Blue, I adore her. I'm very close to her. She writes some amazing articles, and she's essential to yourkinkyfriends.com. But both of us are also very, very absurd and silly. So I don't know what's in this.
Okay. Oh.
They're little cards. It could be kink related. It could not be. So I have no idea. So don't be afraid to get a little silly. Okay.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
All right. Michelle first. Artie second. All right. Pegging.
Fun.
Climbing.
Straight jackets.
What did you say? Straight jacket? Confining.
Customers.
I own one.
What?
Chastity.
Yummy.
Belt.
French maid outfits.
Cute.
Fun.
Nurse's outfit.
Naughty.
Sensual.
Fireplay.
Fun.
Awesome.
Wax play.
Messy.
Entertaining.
The Hitachi magic wand.
My best friend. I'm sorry, that was 3 words.
That's fine. Phrases are fun.
Amazing.
The violet wand.
Yuck.
The St. Anthony's cross.
Necessary.
Fun.
Okay. Oh, this is good. Dick pic.
Gross.
Worthless.
All right. Spit.
Not lube.
What about
Personal.
you? Okay.
That was my word for spit.
All right. Nachos.
Yuck.
Healthy.
Glazed donut.
Oh, fattening.
Homer.
Sperm.
Sperm. Necessary.
Protein.
Okay. All right. Choking. Oh, wait. What happened?
Oh my God. What happened? Shit. Sorry.
All right.
We had a related incident.
In the meantime,
Sorry.
there you go.
We're back. Okay.
Okay. The daddy baby girl dynamic.
Inappropriate.
Therapist.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Hardy?
Therapist.
Okay. Pet play.
Fun.
Interesting.
Okay. Leather.
Soft.
Pleasurable.
All right. Consensual, non-consensual, or rape play.
We say consensual, non-consensual what?
Or rape play. Same thing.
Intense.
Challenging.
Race play.
Race play is like, a black person being a slave, a Jew having a
Or a
Nazi.
white person.
Psychological.
Sometimes necessary.
Okay. Oh, wait. We said chastity. Sorry about that. Enemas.
Necessary.
Modern.
Cunnilingus.
Enjoyable sometimes.
It's part of the process.
Yeah. All right. Piss play or water sports.
Intimate.
Fun.
Okay. And finally, scat.
Hard limit.
Not my thing.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh my God, both of you, Michelle Wild and Hardy Brooklyn, you've been an absolute pleasure. So take this time now to plug away, plug every website, every your Instagram, if you're on Twitter, Facebook, your websites, anything.
Okay.
Plug any events that you got going on. The studio, everything. Go.
So everything is all on one website. It's anancy.nyc, anancy.nyc. There's links to my studio, there's links to my boudoir, and there's links to my activist LGBTQ pictures. And let's see, my Instagram is Sexy Shutterbug. My Facebook is Michelle Wild Photography. I could be hired for shooting events or portraits or kinky stuff. I also shoot that. And then our events, we are working on doing the website, but our first event, fetish event, is February 9th. I also host a goddess event every other Sunday where men can come in and worship goddesses and do scenes with us, whatever you guys want to do. And I think and medical play parties every other month. That's only for serious people.
And if you want to get on the mailing list, go to my website, hardybrooklyn.nyc. I'm hardybrooklyn.nyc on the web. I'm hardybrooklyn.nyc on Instagram, and I'm hardybrooklyn on Facebook. You could subscribe to our joint mailing list, which will give you access to the events that we put on together, as well as the art things that we find interesting.
I also want to say that anybody that's scared to come to any kink events because they're afraid somebody's going to do something to them, that doesn't happen. That you're allowed to come to an event to just sit there and watch, because a voyeur is an active participant in any event, because everybody's doing these things, doing their scenes in public for a reason. Your energy is part of that, and that we encourage people to ask questions. No question is ever stupid when it comes to kink. And then, if you want to try something and not do a full scene, we're more than happy to show you everything and help you on your journey to exploring yourself and finding what really turns you on.
As well as helping you create your limits and understand your limits.
Absolutely wonderful. Oh my God, I'm proud, literally proud to have you on my show.
Thank you.
Please stay on the line. I want to talk to you real quick before we go. Okay, so please, everybody, go to yourkinkyfriends.com. We have a Discord chat group, which is really fun. We have on Facebook, we have a secret group, Your Kinky Friends, so people won't know that you're in some kind of kink group, like your nieces or your nephew or your boss or whatever. So just befriend me, Nicholas Tanek. Just look up Nicholas Tanek on Twitter and Facebook. You'll find me. And the only difference is I'm Nick Tanek on Instagram, and there's also the Your Kinky Friends, which is Friends Kinky on Instagram and Twitter. What a great show. It's getting late, my friends. My Dom is calling me. Remember the
She's not calling me you, she's demanding you, my dear.
Remember the main rule, everybody. Be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Stay kinky.